So Nick, I understand you have a job that a lot of people like me like. What is that? Tell us about it.
I work for the Bureau of Land Management as a wildlife biologist. Part I like about it is I get out in the field a lot and do a lot of hiking. I'm a fuels biologist, so my budget is laying out timber shells and juniper cuts and that kind of stuff, and that's what I was doing the day that I had this encounter that we're going to be talking about. But yeah, the job in general, it's I would say it's 50% office time, mainly winter and that, and then in the summertime and spring we're 50%. The other 50% of the time we're in the field most of the time. So
and
that's the part of the job people envy. But
yeah. What area are you assigned to, or do you cover? Or?
I work for the Bureau of Land Management in Oregon in the Burns District, and I'm mainly in the Three Rivers Resource Area, so southeast Oregon, Harney County.
Yeah, and that's where the Steens is?
The Steens is in Harney County. I'm generally working on our Forest Fringe stuff, which is in the north part of the county, but yes, Steens Mountain is probably the most famous landmark in Harney County.
Yeah, well, I love
it. It's beautiful. So, it really is.
Yeah. So you said something the other day that stuck with me, and we were just talking about this a minute ago, and that's that the odds of being attacked by a wildcat, like a cougar, are less than being struck by lightning.
Far less, yeah. And I know there has been a few cougar attacks. There's been several encounters, but very rarely does it go to an attack. And my encounter was just an encounter. I didn't have an attack, but yeah.
Well, it was about that close to me.
It was close, and for about a minute I thought I was probably going to be a goner. But
yeah, go ahead and tell us about that.
So, a typical day in the field for me, I had my 10-year-old lab with me and an 8-month-old beagle puppy with me. Going out there, laying out juniper cuts, painting boundaries, flagging boundary lines. Finished up a unit about 12:30 in the afternoon. Had lunch, driving back down the road. There's another unit I wanted to check out. It's too early to go back to the office, so probably about 1 I parked there along the Lone Pine Road and started hiking out into this unit, which it's a unit I wanted to treat, but we're not going to treat it mechanically anyway. At least it's got too much rock in it. But anyway, out there, large pine, lots of mahogany, lots of juniper, visibility maybe 30 to 50 yards on average in there. I'm maybe 15-20 minutes from the truck, and out of the blue I look up, and at 1:30 in the afternoon is a large cougar walking pretty much right towards me. He's about 25 yards, and I instantly go on edge, and I'm yelling, hey, 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 just progressively getting louder. And 99% of the time, if you ever have that encounter, which you probably won't anyway because they're so rare, they're going to take off and run. This thing turned his head, looked at me, and just kept walking right at me, and I progressively continued to scream louder and louder. I had nothing. I had a pickup key in my pocket and my phone in my other pocket, and that's the only thing that I had other than my dogs, which were nowhere to be found at the time.
No bear spray, no knives.
No bear
guns.
spray, no knives, no gun. We cannot pack a gun working for the Bureau of Land Management. You can in Alaska, but that's the only place that I know that they allow you to pack. So anyway, I had nothing, and this cat just kept walking towards me, and it closed the distance within a half second. 2 seconds, it was at 12 yards, and then it picked up to a run. And in 2 bounds, he was pretty much on me, and he hit the skids as I'm screaming at it, and he stopped like 3 feet short of me and kind of threw the double paw at me, which didn't come super close, maybe 18 inches or so from me, way too close for comfort. And then we're in a standstill. I back up, I take 2 steps back and put like a little piece of brush in between me and the cat, and he closes the distance back to 3 feet, and we're just kind of in a standstill where I'm screaming at the thing, and he's got his ears laid back, and he's showing his teeth and hissing, and the whole scene probably only played out in about 45 seconds to a minute from start to finish, but it felt like a hell of a lot longer than that. But at one other time, he threw 2 paws at me, and again, it was probably 18 inches from me, and I managed to break out a little piece of stick out of the brush that was dead in front of me, and I threw it at it. I don't know if it hit it or not, but it flinched, hissed, and then he threw 1 paw after that at me. And when he threw 1 paw, it was close enough that I felt like I had to like jump back and go like that. I'm not positive if it would have hit me or not, but it was that close. And shortly after that, and I'm thinking, my yellow lab was nowhere to be found, and I'm thinking she just didn't come up because I was screaming, and she's never heard me scream like that before in my life, and she probably thought she was in big trouble. But shortly after that, that beagle pup comes wandering in from the side and runs right up to it, hits it about maybe mid-shin, and starts sniffing its leg, and the cat instantly looks down, hisses, and within a second jumps, like doesn't turn, jumps directly off my right shoulder, actually past me, and takes off running. And then my beagle like realizes it's an animal and starts taking after it, barking too. At that point, I knew I was probably in the clear, and I gathered my yellow lab and grabbed a couple sticks and walked briskly back to the truck with my head on a swivel, and I left the beagle to do his thing. I was going to sacrifice the beagle easily that day, but thank God 300 yards towards the truck, the beagle showed back up, got back to the truck, and that's when it kind of really all hit me how close I was to death. I mean, if the cat would have wanted to, or if it would have struck me, or if I would have probably ran, it would have jumped on me and took me, and there's no way I could have fended that thing off. I would have guessed him to be a 150-pound tom, which is a tom is a male cougar. Looked very healthy. Wasn't old. Sometimes old ones will have broken canines and stuff like that. I got a good look at the canines. They looked perfectly fine. He wasn't super skinny. I've watched some YouTube videos recently now looking at cougar attacks, and there's this one famous one where a guy's walking back down the road and this female cougar keeps coming at him in double pawn. That cat looked like a third of the size of this thing, but
Wow.
Anyway, the cat left unharmed, I left unharmed, so it was a win-win. But it's definitely changed the way I go to the field in terms of prep. I always carry bear spray now. I'll carry a knife. If I'm in thick country, I usually try to keep the dogs closer to me. That day I wasn't worrying about where the dogs were. And it was hot, so the 10-year-old yellow lab was trailing behind me a ways, and the beagle pup was doing what beagles do, just wandering. But
so I'm traveling alone, right? And what advice would you give to someone like me that camps out by themselves?
Honestly, I'd say you could probably be out there 1,000 years, Steve, and you're never going to have that encounter with a cat. I just happen to be super, super unlucky. But if you do run into one, don't turn and run. Try to make yourself look big.
Don't bend down. Right?
Don't bend down. Yeah, and I mean, I'd be loud, but if it does come to it, use anything and everything you do have to get them away from you or off. And I think bear spray in this case, where this cat stopped and we were in a standstill, I could have pulled out bear spray and hit him with it, and I think it would have deterred him,
Yeah.
Certainly I could have hit him right in the face with it. He was from me to you away, so I don't know. I mean, the way it played out, I'm glad I did nothing, because I don't know if I would have had a pistol and shot him or hit him with bear spray, if that would have changed his reaction to where he would have felt defensive and got even more aggressive. I don't know, but I know if I was put in that situation again and I had a pistol, I'd shoot it, and if I had bear spray, I'd spray it. So I knock on wood that never happens again. And I've seen 7 cougars in my lifetime. I spend probably probably 150 days a year in the field, and I would guess I've got somewhere around 10 to 15,000 miles over the last 20 years of hiking out there, off trail in the brush, and I've seen
that's real
7 in my
old,
lifetime, and 6 of them, the previous 6 have all done what animals are supposed to do: see you and take off running. But this one certainly didn't, and I have no idea why. Just like I said, that lightning strike, and I honestly you're really probably 20 times more likely to get struck by lightning than to actually be attacked by a cougar. But
Wow. Well,
pretty
thank-
surreal experience. I felt real lucky to be alive. Like I said, I didn't get emotional until I got back to my truck, and then I was like thinking, damn, I wanted to saw my kids or my family, and yeah. And I was a little apprehensive to go back to the field for a week or two. It took me 10 days before I headed back to the field by myself anyway. So.
And you mentioned your voice, you lost it.
Oh, I've never yelled like that. And probably 45 seconds to a minute of screaming, I lost my voice for 10 days.
Gosh.
I was worried that it wasn't going to come back, but thank God it did. But yeah.
Thanks for sharing that story.
You
with us.
betcha, Steve. I'm glad.
I'm
I'll
glad it
actually
turned
have
out
a
the way it
recording
did.
of it. Oh, me too. Me
Yeah.
too. Because if it would have went to it, there's no way I could have did anything to fend him off. I don't think I could have fended off a 50-pound cougar, let alone a 150-pound cougar. So,
Great. Well, thanks again.
you bet. Thank you, Steve.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.